The ocean hides many secrets, not only because it is under-researched, but also because it washes things up on beaches that we never expected to see. You know that plenty of junk can wash up on the shores. Sometimes though they are among the usual cloths of seaweed in trash, the gentle tides will deposit something truly weird. The people that have stumbled upon these finds the strangest things to ever wash ashore. So here are top 10 strangest things to wash up on shore. Before we begin, make sure you don't forget hit the subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing videos. A giant squid. For centuries the giant squid was nothing but a myth. They were first described over 2000 years ago, and they probably contributed to the ancient legend of the kraken, which was common among mariners. Specimens began to be recovered in the 1800s. The rotting remains of a mystery sea creature have washed up on a remote Indonesian beach. But the first modern living specimen was captured in 2004, and strandings on beaches are very uncommon, so residents of the Spanish village of Cantabria were understandably shocked to find one of the 30-foot monsters washed up on their local beach. One day in the fall of 2013, strangely underwater photographer Enrique Tedo happened to be nearby and managed to get some pictures of the type that he probably never thought he'd take on dry land. The 400-pound blob was moved to the town's maritime museum, where it can fascinate and freak out the locals for years to come. A prehistoric shark tooth. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is a favorite tourist destination, and its miles of beaches accommodate nearly 100,000 visitors a year. But 7-year-old Foster Fraser wasn't interested in lounging around the beach during his stay, being an enormous fan of anything having to do with sharks. He was digging along a stream bed looking for teeth when he made the kind of find that would make a marine archaeologist green with envy. Young Foster dug up a 5-inch tooth bigger than his fist, which once belonged to a 50-foot terror of the seas, the megalodon shark, which has been extinct for 2.5 million years. Foster's parents at first took the tooth to be a sand-covered rock, but further inspection left them speechless, as Foster had stumbled across a specimen that often eludes even professional deep-sea fossil hunters. A boy bomb on beach. Kelly Gravel of Wales says her family was fascinated by the object that washed up during their visit to the beach in 2015. The large round metal ball was covered top to bottom in barnacles, and they took it to be a buoy of the kind that washes up in the area. With some frequency they took pictures of their kids playing around with the thing, posted a few shots to social media, and forgot about it until a friend alerted them to a social media post explaining what it really was. Pembroke County Park had posted to its official account that the buoy was actually a United States military minor World War II era explosive, which could very well still be active. The news came as a complete shock to the Gravel family, whose children had literally been playing with a bomb, and they went to watch when the mine was detonated in a controlled explosion by the local bomb squad. It certainly could have turned out a lot worse, especially considering the fact that the authorities didn't discover and identify the object until 5 days after the Gravel's discovery. Whale vomit worth $70,000. A British couple having a stroll along Middleton Sands Beach made a very unusual, smelly and profitable discovery. One day in April 2016, at first glance it could be mistaken for a strange whitish rock, but Gary and Angela Williams recognized it at once for what it was: a huge lump of ambergris, which is essentially whale vomit. Gary described the smell as a cross between squid and farmyard manure, but oddly enough the substance is coveted in the perfume industry and it's very expensive. It originates in the digestive tracts of sperm whales who eject it into the sea when they are sick. Once allowed to drainage, its distinctive foul odor changes to more of an earthy scent, lending to its use in perfumes and colognes. The lump found by the Williams was estimated to be worth up to £50,000 for about $70,000 American dollars. A pretty stinky way to come up on a huge payday, but we doubt they're complaining. Thousands of dying fish. Storm Angus wreaked havoc on the UK in late 2016, blowing through with 80-mile-per-hour gusts and causing devastating flooding. The UK is accustomed to such rough wintertime weather, but nobody can remember ever before having seen an entire local starfish population suddenly relocated to the beach. Apparently Angus caused waves strong enough that the creatures were dislodged from the seabed in vast numbers, then left stranded on South Sea Beach. When the tide went out, some local residents spent an afternoon trying to save as many as they could, carrying them in buckets back to the sea, but became discouraged when more just kept washing up. Thousands upon thousands of the critters died where they lay, and while Angus was responsible for only minimal human casualties, users on social media were referring to the situation on South Sea Beach as the Starfish Massacre. A sea monster skeleton. Most giant squids are one thing, but an Aberdeen couple think that they found a sea monster carcass of a non-invertebrate variety during a walk along the beach in 2011. The 30-foot animal had an intact tail, skull and teeth, and while it certainly had a prehistoric look to it, nobody is sure exactly what it was to this day. Some have suggested that it was the partially decayed carcass of a pilot whale, while others have gone the complete opposite route and declared that it must have been a plesiosaur, or a long extinct prehistoric flippered sea reptile, which had long been suspected of having an active colony in Scotland's Loch Ness. The truth may be somewhere in between. After all, it's perfectly plausible that there are a number of large sea animals that it simply hasn't discovered yet, but it definitely looks like the type of animal you'd rather encounter dead on the beach than alive in the ocean. A giant Lego toy. A giant Lego toy, about 8 feet tall, was washed up on the shore in Zandvoort, Netherlands. At first, the people on the beach were very surprised, but then they set it up and started taking pictures with it. But that's exactly what happened to Jeff Heineman, a Sarasota, Florida resident, in 2011. Its front bore the printed message "No real than you are," which seems to be missing a word or two, and on the back were the words "Ego." Leonard in the number 8. Baffled residents crowded around to take pictures with a 100-pound fiberglass sculpture, but they weren't baffled for long. Eagle Leonard is a Dutch artist who is known for pulling stunts just like this in the past in his native Holland, and it didn't take authorities long to crack the extremely silly case. They briefly detained the Lego man until Mr. Leonard came forward to claim him, and it took him all of about 8 months to make another public appearance washed up on the shore. Giant snowballs. You probably don't associate the frozen Russian province of Siberia with beaches, but there are plenty, only not the kind you'd want to visit to go sunbathing. It's strange to see sandy beaches covered with ice and snow, but an occurrence that took place near a village by the Gulf of Odra attracted this strange meter up to an 11. These are snowballs, thousands and thousands of them, all packed in neatly along an 11-mile stretch of beach, and they weren't made by the villagers for the annual all-village snowball fight. According to the Arctic and Antarctic Research Institute, they were formed naturally out of slush, which formed into frozen chunks, which were then blown along the coastline by strong winds. The result: perfectly rolled snowballs ranging in diameter from about the size of a tennis ball to upwards 3 feet across. Nobody is sure how often the perfect conditions for this phenomenon to occur come about, but it can't be very often. One village resident said that even the old-timers, who had lived there all of their lives, had never seen it before. Kinder eggs. In January 2017, children from Langierhogen Island in Germany got extremely lucky. Thousands of Kinder eggs and Lego toys washed up on the beach. A cargo ship lost a few containers during a storm, and their contents ended up on this beach. The eggs, containing instructions in the Cyrillic alphabet, appear to have come from a container lost by a cargo ship en route for the German port of Bremerhaven. Public broadcaster NDR reported Thursday that island authorities have called in the experts. A local kindergarten will help collect the unexpected bounty before it becomes a hazard for wildlife. Blob of Yabachijima. A mystery creature washed up on a beach after a devastating natural disaster sounds like the opening to a horror film, but in fact it could be more reality than fantasy. An object resembling a whale-like creature has been found on a Japanese beach after it was left there in the wake of that tsunami that hit the country in 2011. Someone thought that this was a new creature, possibly a giant octopus. But when scientists took samples, they said that this matches the leftovers of a shark or whale. If you like my video, don't forget like and subscribe my channel. Let us comments below.